Hello, my name is Jasmine, and my life is just ordinary. However, something has just happened to me that I guess is pretty insane. You see, I really love helping people. I think I get it from my mum. She's a pediatrician, and she's just the kindest, sweetest woman ever. Ever since I was a little girl, she said I should always put my feet in the other person's shoes, and that I should be kind to everyone. So that's just how it's always been, and it makes me happy. I like helping people. I volunteer in the library after school sometimes, and there's always this one girl in my class there. I never really see her with anyone. She's always alone, and for months I didn't want to disturb her because she seemed to be really into her reading, but eventually it just felt rude to ignore her like that, so I started trying to chat to her. The first time, she barely even looked at me, so I hurried off. Then the next time I managed to find out her name, which was Kate, and she still didn't look up. I felt a bit upset that she didn't want to become friends. After all, I was just being nice. I then saw her sitting alone one lunchtime, and I decided to just go sit with her. I plopped myself down on the seat opposite her and said, "Hi, Kate." She was twisting her spaghetti around and around on her fork, and she just looked so miserable. I couldn't figure it out. I decided to ask her outright what was wrong. She dropped her fork, looked up at me, and said, "I have cancer." I immediately burst out crying. I mean, I know my mum's a nurse, and so I should be used to hearing about people being sick, but Kate is so young, and I just felt so bad for her. She looked a bit shocked that I was crying, but I just went straight over to her and gave her the biggest hug. No wonder she was so quiet and didn't want to talk. Kate looked so sad every day, and now it all made sense. The next day at lunch, she told me it was a rare form of cancer, and she might not have long left to live. I told her how awful that was, but that I'd make sure she was happy every day from now on. I invited all my friends to join us at lunchtimes, and then I organized a sleepover where Kate might feel more comfortable telling the other girls what was going on. Everyone loved her. You wouldn't actually believe she was so sick, because she seemed so happy all of a sudden, and after a couple of weeks, she was so popular and everyone wanted to be her friend. She had started wearing a rainbow headscarf wrapped around her head because she said she was losing her hair, and she soon started a trend. Everyone wanted to wear headscarves after that. I did worry that people were only becoming friends with her because she was sick, but I knew that the kids in our class were good people and wouldn't do such a thing. Kate's birthday was coming up, and I decided to organize a surprise party for her at my house. I invited everyone in our class and even got my older brother's band to play in the garden. I told her to come over at 3 p.m. for a girly night with movies, and so at around 2:30 p.m., we all started hiding in the garden. We waited, but by 10 past 3 there was still no sign of her. I told everyone to keep hiding, and I went to the front of the house to check if she was there. As I got closer, I heard her speaking. She was on the phone. She sounded pretty upset and kept saying, "Please, Mum." I wondered what was wrong. Then I heard her shout, "Please just bring the headscarf over right now, otherwise they won't like me anymore." At that moment, Kate turned around and saw me standing there. I looked at her head and was surprised to see her thick hair still all there. Before I could say anything, she said, "I can explain." She asked me to sit down, but I refused. I asked her if she'd been lying. Did she actually have cancer? Suddenly I felt like such a fool. How could someone lie about their health like this? Our health is one of the things we should cherish the most in the world. I felt angry for the first time in my life, like properly angry. When Kate saw how angry I was, she started crying and said she'd only done this because she admired me so much and had always wanted to be my friend and couldn't think of any other way to get my attention. I was speechless. I couldn't even look at her. I walked towards the door and went straight to my room. I shouted out the window to my friends hiding in the garden that my mum called me and I needed to take this call. I just sat on my bed, crying. I wasn't sure if I was crying because I was feeling angry and foolish, or because someone like Kate felt the need to fake having cancer to get my attention, or anyone's attention for that matter. This is pathetic, I know. I haven't told anyone about this story, but I think I should. It's been a few days, and I need to decide whether to tell her secret or give her the chance to confess all about herself in front of everyone. What do you think? Please help me. What do you think I should do next? Please feel free to share your comments and advice in the comment section below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Hello, my name is Isabel and I'm a 13-year-old girl. I live with my parents and my 2 younger sisters. Since I turned 12, I've started to notice how my body was changing as I was entering puberty. My skin wasn't as soft as it used to be, and acne started to appear on my face. On top of that, my body hair was more visible and excessive than ever before. Because of that, I developed an insecurity over the way I looked, that even staring at myself in the mirror made me feel like a hairy mess. But the worst part about this whole thing was that my mother wouldn't allow me to do anything about it. Every time I reached out to her for some guidance on how to deal with my excessive hair or my skin problems, her only response would be that I'm perfect the way I am, and there is no need to change anything. I was so frustrated. No matter how much I tried to explain to her that I would feel more comfortable if she would just allow me to shave or put some makeup on, she would start this talk about being comfortable with myself, regardless of my puberty side effects. How could she be so blind to the way I looked? It was obvious that I was one of those girls who needed extra body care, with my unibrow and moustache sticking out. It was just unbearable. To deal with my problem, I decided to drop by Monica's place every morning before school. Monica was my best friend, and she let me use her makeup. Having some makeup on always made me feel better about the way I looked. Additionally, Monica offered to help me get rid of my unibrow, and that alone made me feel much better. Going to school always required this effort, but at least I felt much more comfortable. That way no one from my friends really knew about what I'm hiding, including David, the boy I like in my class. We used to hang out a lot, and it was always fun when he's around. Until one day he commented that I looked pretty. You can't even imagine my excitement and happiness hearing that. But at the same time, I wondered if he'd think the same knowing how I really looked. Later that day, David came to ask me if I'd like to go with him to the pool party at the end of the week. I was so excited and quickly said yes. Oh, wait. What have I done? I can't go to a pool party and show off my hairy body. Even worse, getting in the water will wear off the makeup on my face. It was a nightmare. I couldn't believe that I agreed to this. I considered telling David that I can't go, but it was too late. He'd probably think that I don't like him and even consider going with someone else. Over my dead body. I decided to act as if I'm not in the mood to swim, and I wore a long white dress that covered my hairy legs. And as usual, I had my makeup on. When I went to the party, I saw everyone having a good time at the pool, and the water looked tempting. However, I told David that I wasn't feeling very well, and I'd like to stay dry for the rest of the day. He wasn't too pushy about it, and after a while he went to swim with the rest of our friends. However, my friends started shouting from the pool, telling me to join them. I said no with a shy smile, but they kept pushing. They started splashing me with water, and I ended up being dragged into the pool. Everyone thought it was funny, and they were laughing. But suddenly, the laughing stopped, and everyone looked at me as I stepped out of the pool and started crying uncontrollably. My makeup was smudged, my hair got messy, and worst of all, everyone could see how hairy my legs looked underneath the white dress. I quickly ran inside and I called my mom to come to pick me up. I waited for her outside without saying goodbye to anyone, not even to David. When she arrived and saw me crying hysterically, my mom looked very worried. I couldn't even look at her in the eyes. Everything was her fault and I was very angry. I started telling her how embarrassed I was today because of her stupid rules about loving my body the way it is. I screamed and cried all the way home. My mom, however, did not say anything. She said that she will talk to me when I calm down. I couldn't believe this was my life. I was humiliated not only in front of everyone I know, but also in front of my crush, David. And I hated my mom for it. After a while, my mother knocked on my room door. I told her to come in. She sat on the side of my bed and explained that she understands that I am angry with her, but there is something important she needed to say. She explained that when she was my age, her mother made her very self-conscious about her body when she hit puberty. She took my mom every week to the salon to get rid of her body hair. She always told her that girls who don't take care of that stuff are ugly, and that made my mother struggle with her body image, which got her to decide that she won't do that to me. As a result, she wanted to help me embrace my body the way it is, instead of making me feel good by undergoing a painful and unnecessary process. That moment, my anger started to fade. I could see where my mother's opinions were coming from, and honestly, she did have a point. I was very self-conscious about these things, to the point I forgot it doesn't reflect who I truly am. The way I approached this issue was unreasonable, and crying in front of everyone because of some hair on my legs was definitely an exaggeration. I should have been more confident in myself regardless of this, and it was the lesson my mother was trying to teach me all along. My mom then said that she hates to see me this upset, and told me that we can drop by the beauty salon right now if I want to. Surprisingly, I didn't care much about going to the salon anymore, even though I've been dying to go there for months. I told my mother that it can wait, and instead we decided to go out together and get some ice cream. As for David and the rest of my friends, they kept asking me what made me that upset, as they had no clue what went on. It seems like they didn't even notice. Did you like my story? Please share in the comments your experience with puberty and whether you can relate. And don't forget to subscribe to stay tuned with our daily animated stories.